I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where today we're breaking down all the goals scored between Portugal and Spain before we're getting ready for this Club World Cup nonsense. Not sure how much of that we're going to cover, but I'm sure there's going to be some interesting games there, whether or not the sides are worth it. And we all know that it's not a World Cup of clubs, it's just a cash grab. And it's an interesting thing as well, because I know the United States quite well, and they're well aware there's just a cash grab and it's just a nonsense trophy. So the stadiums aren't going to be filled, and the exorbitant prices they're not going to be hitting as well. I mean, so I heard some of the tickets are going like for $500 a ticket, which is ridiculous. Oh no, that's for like basic tickets. This isn't for, anything special. But today, Portugal versus Spain in the Nonsense League. I have a huge problem with all these nation leagues and stuff, right? Because you used to have friendlies, international friendlies. And one of the good things about the international friendlies is every now and again you'd get great games. Like, for instance, Brazil would be in town, and you'd have like Brazil against Germany, and Brazil against Spain, or Argentina against England, or Argentina against Italy. You don't get any of those, and you never get a chance to play a Mexico, or even have like a Canada, any random thing. It's just boring football to go through. The final sometimes was quite good, and actually this was quite a good game. But all of those interesting friendlies were interesting because it was teams that your country would never normally play. Now they just play the same random teams, and they say, who cares? Generally, I've never come across anyone that cares about this stuff. If you let me know if you actually care about the Nations League, well, let me know. Now, it is a little bit different, I suppose, if you're in the final, because Ronaldo was having a bit of a cry at the end. And there is a thing about being in a final and you win a trophy, especially for your country, because obviously I don't think Portugal have got a chance to win the World Cup. Not because they don't have a good team and a good squad, it's just their manager is a complete and utter idiot. Now, here's this first goal, and we're going to break this down a little bit. So when the pass comes in, we've got a little bit of a flick, and we've got a runner. All right. So in the kiddies game, they all play like small-sided games. The whole purpose of playing small-sided games is not to get more touches on the ball. That's a complete fallacy. That is what bad coaches tell other bad coaches in coaching licenses, because they don't actually know the truth. This is the reason they do it. This is the reason you're supposed to play small-sided games, is so you can transition from one line to the next line. That's the point of it. So what you're supposed to really do is you're supposed to play, that's the 6v6 format, and what you're really supposed to do is teach your players to transition and move lines. That's the point of the small-sided game, to get players doing that, because it's very, very difficult to get sort of 10-year-olds to do an overlap or try to do anything on an 11v11 field, because it's massive. That's the only purpose of those small-sided games. And the difference that happens, like when you do it at a professional level, is you completely can break a system, because you've added an extra player to the attack, and they've come from a place and they haven't been tracked. And you can see that right here. Here he is coming through. Player can't track him. Defender can't get near him because the defender's got to do his job. Defender's got to do his job. He's out of shape, out of position, not tucking in, doesn't really realise the danger because he's not anticipating a little bit of skill. And when you do have a little bit of skill in a game like that, all of a sudden, all bets are off. It's an old coaching buddy of mine used to swear by, and his teams are always okay. They weren't great, they weren't bad, they were always okay. He used to swear by, you can't defend a good 1-2. You can't. A good 1-2, what is a 1-2? Well, in reality, it's a player playing a pass to another player that's on the run. Which is exactly what happens here. Now you've got two players running at the back four into space. Now this is the interesting part, okay? This is what you're supposed to do in this situation if you're here. You don't run backwards. You slowly go backwards because you want to try to get as close to the ball as possible, right? You don't run away from the ball. You don't make this space here any bigger. Okay? You see like he's slowly sort of going over, doing a great job of trying to squeeze that. He doesn't run away from it. Right, you just can't. You've got to try to squeeze that space to see what happens, right? Because if you do run away from it, you open up the space and you leave it all the way down to the 18-yard box, and it makes it easy. Just not running away from the ball and slowly walking towards it makes a massive difference. You can see the difference in this sort of level and then in the Premier League. In the Premier League, you would have just ran away to the 18-yard box and stood there, and they would have just walked in and kicked the ball in the goal. Not quite here. Slowly, trying to get as close and narrow that gap as much as you can. Can you see narrowing the gap? But there is a problem here, and you're going to see this disconnect right here in a second. So this actually looks like defensively quite good. If you stopped it here and said, Yeah, they're actually going to defend quite well. You've got kind of pressure on the ball, but here you've got 2 players coming through on one because the midfielders for Portugal are too lazy to get back. And I think they've got Bernardo Silva. To me, he's an awful footballer. 3 years ago, brilliant. Not anymore. He's too lazy. He's always on the floor diving, always complaining to the referee, and he's just a passenger that you've got to carry in the team. There's by far better midfielders. One of them is playing right back right here, and that this is one of the reasons why this is all a bit of a mess. Let me show you this. There we go. Can you see? He doesn't know what to do because he's a centre midfielder, not a right back. And when the run comes in, he doesn't anticipate it or see it because, well, he's a right back and he doesn't know how to deal with it properly. It's not his situation. He hasn't dealt with it 100 times. Centre midfield, he's played a billion times for Paris Saint-Germain and just won a little trophy. I don't know if you heard about it, the Champions League. But this is why Portugal wouldn't win a World Cup, because their manager just isn't good enough. So when this happens here, you can see great little run. Ball, it's kind of a nothing ball. It should be easily defended. So when it drops into this area here, right here, see, now if this is a defender, he's smashing that away. It's not. Centre midfielder. You've got a problem. So all he does is end up basically playing it into nowhere, and they put it into the net box. That's the difference when you have a defender at the back and someone who's kind of there for yeah. That's a managerial problem right there. It's not a player problem. The players doesn't have this sort of what's that word? Oh God, yeah, instincts. It doesn't have the instincts to get rid of it like a defender would. There's a thing with defenders and strikers and midfielders. You can actually see their instincts and you can tell the type of person that they are. There's one of those things, and I hate having a caveat in the modern day because everyone's a moron and they don't understand it. Oh yeah, but it doesn't work for this player here and this one. Yeah. We know. We're always talking like in the 85 to 90% of all things. Generally, we don't have to explain it down to the micro details because you're idiots, right? So generally, defenders are more responsible people. Strikers aren't. Like, if you take that as a caveat and go, yeah, strikers are more flippant because they're willing to take chances and do all sorts of things. Defenders aren't willing to take chances. They do the percentage and they do the right thing and off they go. Midfielders are somewhere kind of in between. And there's another aspect. Midfielders generally work harder than everybody else. They generally, their work ethic is sky high compared to everyone else. That you could tell is someone who isn't playing the percentages and getting rid of the ball. Is trying to maybe pass the ball or do something different. Isn't good enough. Ends up costing him a team a goal in the final. This is where the goal for Portugal starts. And we're going to talk about the ball whizzes in here. Now, it's a very interesting sort of thing that happens, this pocket of space. You can see it, I don't know if you can see it right about there. As soon as I take this lines away, you'll be able to see it maybe a little bit more. Can you see it? It's right there. And it's been identified very, very quickly here by Portugal. And in international football, this is how quickly you can get punished. So not only have they managed to work themselves with this little pocket of space, they've also managed to work it so they've got 1, 2 against 1. Okay, watch, because he's peeled off the back of his player marking him here. Not really tracked. Found this pocket of space. They gets closed down, but it's not quick enough. Look, there he goes. So as he gets closed down, now he's left his other player who's got that little pocket of space, and it's tiny, and you can see everyone else. The Spanish midfield is completely and utterly negated. Absolutely negated. Now, not sure why, to be honest, because their midfield's quite decent. I think Zubamendi's an absolutely fantastic player. And if you go back to, was it this time last year? I was raving about him. I can't remember. Was it the Euros last year? Yeah, I think it was. Absolutely underrated until, of course, 6 months later when all the scouts have suddenly started picking up on the fact that, obviously, I've said he was brilliant. He ran the midfield, absolutely ran the midfield. I think Rodri went off, and I was explaining of everyone was, why did they take Rodri off? And the other guy just absolutely ran the midfield. So anyway, little ball in. This is where it gets important here, because I'm going to show you in a second. I think Ronaldo is actually offside. I actually do think he's offside here when we go through. But that little pass is more of a stretch poke. So they almost get there, even though there's a little bit of space and a little bit of hesitation. They almost still get away with it because their quality, it's closing down and getting around the ball. So even though that pocket of space, even though it wasn't much, that's about all of the space that they had to exploit. Now, at the start of it, you saw the passing. I think it was 63 passes by Portugal and 150 something by Spain. But Portugal had the better opportunities in this game by far. And they could have, were they the better team? Not in footballing terms, nowhere near. Footballing terms, Spain's was leaps and bounds above them. But I'm telling you now, that doesn't matter in football. And this AI takeover of football, of people looking at percentages and doing all, you know what? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. If you don't create clear goal scoring opportunities, it doesn't matter how many passes you have. It doesn't matter how much of the ball you've got. But yeah. So anyway, little pass through here to Ronaldo. Everyone's calling for offside, and I think it is. I'll show you that in a second at the end. But also, go with Ronaldo. He's not very fast. Every one of you can keep up with him. Yeah, any one of you could catch up with Ronaldo easily right there. But don't worry, they do it in the internationals as well. 2 players telling people to go down and mark this space over here. So we know in the next 5 seconds, someone is about to score a goal. It's like it's every week in every football game. Yeah. If you don't know about why that is, check out some of my other videos. It's about how your brain processes and what you're not doing because you're concentrating on what somebody else... You're telling somebody else what to do instead of actually not trying to win the football. Now, here's the thing. There's 2 of them. One of them can afford to go and win the football. It's not Cristiano Ronaldo when he's 19. He's 40. You can go and take the football off him. He's not going to run away from you. His feet aren't quick enough anymore. He's just not going to get away from you. And if you ever, when I talk about doing little step overs and I talk about as absolute nonsense the way the feet move, it's all about the shoulders and the hips. That's what beats players at pace with shoulders and hips, because your subconscious follows shoulders. If you don't believe me, try to pretend to punch somebody in the head and just use your elbow, right? Just you do that as fast as you can, like that, and watch them duck, because their subconscious is reacting to the shoulder, and that's what happens. It's the same in a game of football. If you're doing little things with your legs, you don't react. You do that with your shoulder. By the way, you don't even have to move your elbow. If you just move your shoulder towards their face like that, they think you're going to punch them and they'll duck. It's because shoulders and hips is what the subconscious reacts to, not your leg doing little fancy dancy things like this. So anyway, as he stood there, look, he stood there. Oh, look, he's doing a little fancy dancy move. Just go win the football. Now there's 3 of you there. But this is what happens, and this is the interesting part. They are panicked to a point. Not panicked is not the wrong word. Maybe giving him too much, not reputation, not respect. It's not really respecting the player. 3 players have gone around him because it's Ronaldo. They're not doing this for anybody else. They wouldn't bother. They would just keep doing their job properly. These 2, one would have dropped off and one would have tried to win the football, but they don't, because it's Ronaldo. And in doing so, when Ronaldo passes the ball back here it's actually a nothing pass really. It's really poor because he isolates this guy here. But because they've ended up pulling 3 players over here into this pocket, they have a massive pocket of space that has now appeared. And in that pocket of space, we slowly get a runner coming in to exploit the space. We do get a little bit of movement from Ronaldo here as well. And it's actually still a bit key, because when he starts to make a bit of movement, because you can see it looks like he's going to go down the line. So as soon as he starts moving, look, as soon as he starts going, you can see Ronaldo, they're all still watching him. He starts to move, and it does open up this pocket of space even more. What do you mean even more? It's already there, Cash. It means as they follow Ronaldo, no one's going to be able to pressure this space here when he receives the ball, because they're actually dropped off just ever so slightly. As he moves forward, you can see that now he's just too far away. He's got to go past Ronaldo now to get towards the ball. If Ronaldo had stayed where he was, he would have probably been up another yard. Makes massive difference. But I tell you, doesn't really make any difference with the quality of this shot, because let me tell you, it's a quality finish. So when he receives the ball, he does cut it onto his left so he can shoot with his left. But do you see the stance of this player here? That's because he was there and he's moved to here, and because of that movement, now he's able to go in the space that he was just in, and he finishes it. Gets himself a cracker. I do love it when he runs past and pushes Ronaldo. Like, yeah, look at me, I'm good. But let's show you that Ronaldo off. See, to me, right there, he looks offside. That knee, let's show it. That knee, that one there, looks like it's offside to me. Okay? I don't think that's playing it on. I know my line's poor, but I think the knee's gone past that point anyway. The knee is in front of his foot there. Even if his foot's in line, which it's not. I know his foot's probably a little bit behind. His knee's gone past it. In real time, I thought it was offside like that. And one of the most frustrating things why I immediately assume it was offside more than onside is because they did not do a replay of it and show us. It was just like, oh no, let's move on with the game really quickly. Everybody go, oh yes, we did goal line technology. Sorry, automated offside thingies. Yeah, click, flash, plump, gone, and it was out before you can even bat an eyelid. It was just gone. So it doesn't give you time to look at it and go, right, is that onside or offside or not? I'm not sure. Because my first reaction was it was offside. So then when they don't show me the replay and give me time to actually have a look at it and they just flash it and it's gone in 2 seconds, I immediately assume I'm correct. Because if it wasn't, they would have showed it a little bit better and they would have taken the time just to show everyone, yeah, he was onside, don't worry, and break it down a little bit more. But shocker, they didn't. Yeah. Don't talk about that C word in football because otherwise you'll figure out all the things about Sepp Blatter, Juventus, AC Milan. They promise you that they didn't get kicked out of Serie A for match fixing. Oh, wait, they did. Oh, yeah. There's more scandals in football than you can possibly imagine. And they don't really get publicised or people don't remember how corrupt it really is. But, yeah, let's move it on. Otherwise, I'm going to go on a 40-minute video about all the corruption in football. This starts with Bernardo Silva falling onto the floor, diving, trying to get a free kick for no reason instead of playing the game of football. And that's one of the many, many reasons I just don't like this football player. It's just not good enough. Like, you just can't do things like this in games of football. You just can't. Just get on and play the game. Just play the game. Just do that. No, he's going to dive on the floor. Yeah, complete and utter useless footballer in my opinion. So what you've ended up happening, as soon as he's lost the ball's played. You know those players that had to run to break the lines to get to the next line? Well, you don't have to now because you've got 2 there, 3, 4, 5, and off they go. Ooh, do you think they might score a goal? Yeah, maybe. It is baffling when you lose the ball in such a situation and your team isn't set up to defend it. Of course, Bernardo Silva was completely and utterly at fault for this goal, but no one will say it because they're all so pro certain players. It's unbelievable, and that's the reason why he gets in this team as well. And that's the reason this manager won't get this team to win a World Cup, which he really could have. He should just knob out Bernardo Silva. He's terrible. And probably, and it sounds horrible, probably Ronaldo. Like, I know he's Ronaldo. I know you're going to have to real think about it as well. Like, would I probably play him? No. Would I bring him on almost every game? Yeah, probably. But yeah, it's one of those things where he wouldn't do it because it damages his ego. He'd just quit the team, but then you'd be without him. And yeah, there's a huge thing why you want him in your team, but that's a story for another video. As we're moving on though, when you've got these 5 players running at the back, well, effectively 1, 2, 3, because he's really nowhere to be seen. It makes it so easy now just for a little pass. But watch another overrated player, Ruben Diaz here. Play him on side. That's another problem. Ruben Diaz. Look, there's the little dink. Ruben Diaz plays him on side. Now, here's the other thing. When you're look at his body shape, Ruben Diaz, you can see he's leaning towards, actually, I'm going the other way on it. So he's leaning towards the inside of the field, right? Trying to play him offside, but ends up not doing it. Now, if you know you're playing him offside and he's going to run for the ball, you know that you need to cover that player because he's running behind your teammate. Remember, the teammate is responsible for what's in front and you're responsible for what's behind him. So you need to be going with this player, not him. It's not his responsibility. Now, this ball, to be fair, it's a really, really quality ball, and it's a good ball, and it's a really good finish. But there's no sort of constructive build-up play or anything here. It's just from the fact Bernardo Silva lost the ball, and they've just been exposed because they've got extra numbers. Like you can see. Out here, Nico Williams, he's pulling the defender with him because, well, he has to. He has to go out here. He has to try to get back in the shape. He can't afford to run and pressure the ball. And there's just sheer numbers, little thing, and it's a dribbler straight in. But yeah, it's just poor play from Portugal. And that's where you talk about, does a team score a goal or do you give them a goal? That's Portugal giving them a goal, like I believe they gave him the first one as well. It's not Spain didn't score that. Portugal gave it to him. There's a massive difference. Massive difference. Yeah, let's move on. You can see up here, look, double the amount of passes, but quality goal scoring opportunities, It's really been Portugal. So I want to show you. I want to mean quality. I don't mean because Spain had some wonderful shots on goal. They really did. But you're talking from outside the 18-yard box, and some of the strikes. I think Nicky Williams had a great one that I thought looked like it was in. Whips around the post, but they're not really good opportunities. That means you're outside the box and you just hit the ball. You've had possession and you haven't created something inside the 6-yard box, a tap in or it's a shot or something that looks dangerous. Shooting from outside, the area doing that doesn't really look dangerous. It looks pretty for the cameras, but it's not really dangerous. Now, I want you to watch and see if you can notice the moment he gives the goal up. This guy here. See if you notice it. Let's play this forward. There we go. See it? That's the moment. That's the moment he concedes a goal. This runner here comes in the inside. As he receives the ball, did you see his body language check to go towards that player? As he's moved, he's opened up this space. Which way is his body shape, energy going? In the field, not down the line. So as you move forward, look, you can see him there. Bump. Where's he gone? Jogging. And now we're just going to accelerate in the space that he's just provided for us. Ooh, look, we've got a little four. We don't really worry about him. That's where you were. That's where you should be. You've drifted inside, thinking that the ball's going to go here, and just sheer athleticism destroys you into the space that you just come from. There you go. He slipped as well to add insult to injury in a place where he shouldn't have been in the first place. And that's the difference. If you're thinking 3-4 steps, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it does, because he's faster than you and you need those extra 2 or 3 yards being in your shape because you cannot recover. When you're playing in rubbish leagues, in pub leagues, in stuff, and you're a little bit faster than him, or quite frankly, the other player doesn't have an acceleration to keep up that speed for over 15 yards, 20 yards, you can end up catching him. Well, not at this level. Gone. And whacks the ball. Great little bit of defensive play there. Textbook. Perfect. Now it's on the keeper to catch the ball. Can the keeper catch the football when it bounces up into the air? So as the ball's flicked up, massively up into the air, watch the keeper's movement. Watch how he runs. I think he does like a movement like that. I can't quite remember. At no point is he sort of stepping forward to take control of this situation and knock the ball away. Watch. Look, can you see? Look. That is the point there where that ball is. He needs to be coming forward and knocking that ball out of the danger area. He's got time. It's dropping. He can use these things. They're called his hands. He can reach and punch that easily. Jumping off one foot, punching the ball away, because as he's got time, what will happen is the ball will drop to about there as he starts his movement. So this is the point where he'll be doing his movement. That's the point where he's going to punch the ball. In fact, he does nothing. Stands there and lets Ronaldo tap it into the goal. Yeah, Ronaldo gets a goal, which we're all happy for. I don't care if you're a Ronaldo hater or not. You've got to be sort of proud that the guy's going to get up to 1,000 goals. I hope he breaks Pele's record, because if you think Pele scored 1,000 goals, I've got a bridge to sell you over some swampland, because it's complete and utter nonsense. Do the math. It's like 50 goals over like 20, 22 seasons. Pele didn't score 50 goals a season for 20 odd seasons. Never happened. But that's what they do with the history books. By the way, not just in football, in all the history. Yeah, we'll just make up stuff because they'll believe anything that we put down, and don't worry about it. Off you go. Ronaldo, quite frankly, smashed Pele's record a long time ago. Pele's record was completely and utterly nonsense. There was a point, I think he scored 600 or 700 goals in Brazil, but the level of football he was playing was pub football. And I'm genuinely serious. It was actually pub football. So when you're trying to account that, there's the thing called goal weights. There used to be a website for it. It's really interesting, actually. So it was like any person can win the golden boot in Europe, right? So for instance, if you're in a pub league and you're scoring 140 goals, well, each goal you score counts as one in a certain league. So it's depending on the league values. So if you're like in lower leagues, it's got less weight to it than the goal. So for instance, if you're scoring in, it's not true, but let's just say it is. The championship is like 0.75 of a goal, while the Premier League is a goal, and so is like, La Liga and Serie A. They're all a goal. Well, these are 0.75. So if you score more 0.75 goals, you get to win the golden boot. But that's what they do through all of the leagues, all the way through, everywhere. So I can't remember where that website is. It's really strange. It's really interesting because you get a lot of people. There was a guy in Ireland who scored something like 180 goals goals, and by far should have won the Golden Boot in Europe. Yeah, but he didn't, because even though that they say that they're using that, they really don't. But we're going to get on to the penalties, and they're kind of a bit boring. So if you're out, you're out. I love you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to cover the penalties anyway, but you know how I feel about penalties. We're going to cover rat faces right here. And I want to the main reason I'm really going to cover rat faces is because a lot of players do this nowadays in the modern game, where they do. And there was a rule where they stopped it and they let it back in again, where you're doing this little stupid little, stoppy steppy thing. And they tried to outlaw it by saying you had to be in motion and doing this, so you couldn't run, stop, run, stop, run, stop. I'm not sure what the rules are anymore. I really have to go back and look it up, because there's a lot of players that do this, start, and then stop, and then pass the ball in the goal. They send the keeper down, and then they pass it in the goal. That's probably the best example, but there's about 4 players that do it in this penalty shootout. We're going to cover one for Spain here as well, and it's Isco. Isco is one of my favourite players at Real Madrid. And the reason why is because he was something different. You never quite knew he could take you on. He's a quality little passer of the ball. I think he should have got out a long time ago when he was I don't know where he is anymore, but he could have gone to he could have gone to a Juve or PSG, I think he is at PSG actually, I'm not sure, but yeah, I think he wasted the last sort of couple of years at Real Madrid, where he was on the fringes of the team, and he still could have played at a high, really good level. Step, same sort of thing, blast the ball in the net box. I'm only covering Isco. Yeah, let's move it on. There is this weird thing, Morata's miss, that loses the final, all that sort of jazz. It's one of those weird things to me where in penalty shootouts, there's certain strikers that miss all the time on penalty. It's very strange. You get strikers that are just relentless. They'll always score. I think Harry Kane is one, Mo Salah's one. But I think it's Jamie Vardy that's misses quite a couple of penalties as well. There's just some strikers that, as good as they might be as a striker, it's scoring the penalty, they're just not. And it's very interesting to me, because that is their job. Strikers should never miss a penalty. This is their job, right? Defender, you go, oh, okay, but defenders have probably got a better strike rate on penalties than most, some strikers. It's very, very strange. When you see a defender or an old centre-back coming up to get the penalty, you go, oh, yeah, he'll score. Yeah, he'll score. But yeah, watch this. As he goes to put it, he scuffs it into the ground. It's very poor. Perfect height for the goalkeeper. Right there. That is one of the worst penalties that you could possibly take. Nowhere near the corner, and it's just easy for the goalkeeper. That's a player to me that's just because he had just come on pretty much, maybe before extra time, maybe in normal time, but a player of absolutely no confidence taking a penalty and just cost your team a final. Well, other than that, I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.